Andrew Ornock is a former professional and Canadian men's national team player and director and coach at Dutch Connections FC. He joins us from Toronto, where there is a noisy practice going on behind him. And Craig Forrest is also in Toronto, former goalkeeper in the Premier League and named by Soccer Canada as one of the all-time greatest Canadian players. Welcome to both of you.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for having me.
Craig, let's start with you. How did the Canadian team get to this moment? What's special about the men's team right now?
There's several reasons for that. From the national team level, women and men, there's a professionalism that's been brought in by John Herdman and that group. And we've always been complaining as players about that lack of professionalism. And if it were going to compete in the best league or in the world with the sport that everybody plays in it, we need to be at the best of our game, and that needed to improve. So that has improved, as well as Major League Soccer rules have changed. A few years ago, well, it wasn't that many years ago, we were banging on the door of MLS saying, why is it in a league that we have 3 Canadian teams, are Canadians playing as foreigners in the United States, but United States Americans can play in Canada, and our MLS teams as non-foreigners? It was a difficult situation, and not many Canadians were able to make that move down there. We look at the team now, there's 5 or 6 of those players have benefited from that situation alone. So there's a number of different elements, but that's a couple of them right off the top.
Yeah, and Andrew, why don't you pick up on that? From your perspective, what is it that makes the 2021 men's team so good?
But it's definitely a young and dynamic team. You have players that are starting to play in the higher tiers in Europe. Obviously, Alfonzo Davies, who's playing at Bayern Munich, a top club in Europe. Others are climbing the ladder. To Greg's point, you see that players are really starting to flourish in the MLS, and the game is really growing here. So they have the opportunity now to potentially qualify for the World Cup. It's very exciting, and as you can see, it's starting to spark a lot of interest, I think, not only in Canada, but everywhere.
And Andrew, you know, we can see and hear those players behind you, young soccer players that you coach. What impact is the success, I guess, of both the men's and especially the women's team, but what impact is that having on the young players you're seeing?
Absolutely. It's been very inspiring and very motivating, not only for the players, but the staff, for the families, the members involved, not only in our program, but all of the programs across the country, I find. Like you can see it that the game is really growing. The women, obviously, with their gold medal this past summer. The men's program now really pushing for the World Cup. You're starting to see a tipping point, a turning point in Canadian men's soccer, and women have been there for quite a while already. And now you can see it's really inspiring players to really dream.
Craig, I know that we have got 2 groups of people watching, those who follow soccer closely, so they'll kind of know the answer to this next question, but a lot who don't. Alfonso Davies, he just turned 21 years old. He's from Edmonton. He's playing in Edmonton. What's so significant about him?
Oh, man, there's so many good things about him. He would be, I'm trying to think of somebody to compare an Edmonton Oilers team, maybe a Paul Coffey or somebody like that. You know, maybe on a left-sided player's point of view, we're talking about the pace and ability and entertainment of Wayne Gretzky. He is a top-notch player. Like, we're talking one of the best left-sided players in the world. Not just CONCACAF, in the world. He scares the living daylights out of every defender in any league or any team that he plays with. We've seen that with our national team. He's a massive effect at turning over teams. Never before have I seen Mexico sit back at Azteca Stadium against a Canadian national team because of Alfonso Davies, Tejan Buchanan with his pace as well on the other side of the pitch. This is scaring teams, and they're electric, entertaining, fun to watch. And I said, you know, a long time ago, Edmonton is a home of Canadian soccer for a long time. And if anybody deserves Alfonso Davies, it is Edmonton. They supported us when no other cities did a long time ago.
I love your description, and I love that you also put it in terms of classic Edmonton Oilers, and wow, what a description of Alfonso Davies from a guy who obviously knows elite soccer very well. Andrew, you know elite soccer as well. I'll let you decide to either talk about Davies or anyone else on the team that we should keep an eye on.
Well, I agree with Craig. I mean, obviously, Alfonso Davies is a world-class talent. He's a player that's playing at the very highest level. His pace sets him apart. His technique, his skill, He's still developing, which is the scary thing. And you look at other young players like Buchanan. Again, one of my personal favorites, Atiba Hutchinson, a player who's a veteran of this team. And I think down the stretch of World Cup qualifying, you're going to really rely on these kind of players that have been there before, maybe not necessarily the World Cup, but an opportunity to make the World Cup. And yeah, definitely an exciting team that's young and upcoming.
Okay, well, listen, I'm the host of this program, so I'll do something I shouldn't do, and that is ask each of you an unfair question and a quick answer. Andrew, I'll start with you. Is the team going to make the World Cup?
Absolutely. I think they have a fantastic chance. It's a young team. Let's not forget this. And regardless of whether they make the World Cup now or not, I don't think many have expected them to make the World Cup at this point. But the potential is huge, and I think we're just scratching the surface with the up-and-coming talent in this country. I like the way, I love where it's heading.
Craig?
I'm going to say that this national team is going to go to the World Cup, and I said it before this when they got into the last group of 8 that I think that they have the second or third best squad in CONCACAF at this present moment. Maybe even the best the way they played against the Mexicans, which is a little bit of a push. But that's what I'm saying. They're going to the World Cup, and it's the biggest show on earth, and it's something that we should get behind. And I'm so glad that people are, and the people that have not grabbed a hold of either the women or the men. The game is on, and let's support our national team. It's a big thing for us.
I love your insights, and I certainly love your enthusiasm. Thanks to both of you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.